How you doing, everyone? Welcome back to NRL Fantasy Analysis. We have the update for our trades coming into round 3. There's a few trades made in this, 3 actually, out of the 3 teams, which will be very interesting. But we start off with the People squad, and we end up making one trade, and that's going to be Stefano down to Starling. So the People have decided that was the clear winner this week. There was also some talk about making a second trade, and the reason for that one would be to pick up another cheap cash cow and free up a little bit of money. And that would be with the goal of heading up to a Cleary over the next few weeks. So it's turned out we're just going to go with the one trade and look to pick up Cleary in about round 5. So leave him for next week and build up some capital to be able to pick him up then. And some of the theories there was if Lolo continues to perform average or poorly, then we would potentially use his cash to upgrade or downgrade, and then use potentially one of our other guns, whether it be a Dylan Brown, so we can straight swap him for Cleary in that position. We're not losing a gun in the halves. That's probably the theory there, and we could use guys like Bully to go down. So the theory was going to be Bully down to Leo Thompson was going to be the second one, but we decided against it. And what we do have is 3 non-playing players coming into this week with Harry Grant and also Tuolangi and Vailea. So the theory there was to potentially loop Ilias with Grant playing a little bit later in the week. We're able to do this completely fine with Lockie playing on the Friday night and Storm playing a bit later. If Ilias goes well, we keep him there. Obviously, we can't move him, but if he goes well, we keep Grant there, And then if he doesn't, we can move Walters up into the number 4 jersey and use his score. So obviously a couple of weaker bench players this week, but yeah, we could have brought in Leo Thompson, but do you play him over these guys anyway? Maybe. I don't think he's going to score well as last week, for example. But yeah, that's kind of the option there. But anyway, we've got Maxi King starting. I'm surprised he hasn't got the VC or the captaincy, but that's another story in itself. But we have the Randall Starling combination. Obviously annoying that we don't have Grant this week, so we probably won't have the best week in terms of scores compared to what you're going to see in my head-to-head team, for example. But in terms of the rest of the squad, we're looking okay. We just need a couple of bounce backs from a few guys. We'd love a Curdy Mann bounce back and the Nye bounce back as well. And then obviously holding Bully and Tui. We're hoping that Bully has a bit of a bounce back as well. At least get somewhere in the 30s and a decent score for us, but also a little bit of cash generation as well. The thing is with him, guys, he does cover that mid and the edge. So if he's bounced back from his shoulder issue that he was talking about. Sorry, that we noticed him coming off early for. If he can get sort of that 55 to 60 minutes and maybe a couple of attacking stats where we can sneak up into the 30 to 40 mark and improve our scores. But yeah, obviously a couple of bounce backs from those guys and a big score from Starling would be ideal for this squad. Brownie to keep doing what he's doing and a nice bounce back from Lolo and Pap as well would be cool. So that's that team, guys. Let me know your thoughts around the People squad. We have only used one trade in the 2 weeks. So that's going to help us out a lot later. And obviously we're ranked pretty well at the moment. So yeah, coming into the middle rounds, we'll be able to trade pretty heavy, I think, which will be very, very good. But 107k in the bank is nice heading into next week. Even if we, something really big pops up, we can either really bank some cash in that week and go Cleary the next, or we could, fix up any issues, whether that be one of these cheapies that we need to, if a good cash cow comes up, we can go down to them, or we can go sideways to someone who's really stepped up or gains a new role or there's an injury or something like that. So that's that team, guys. Let me know your thoughts. In terms of my squad, so I was going back and forth to this one. So I used 2 trades last week, and with the changes to the Knights roster and obviously what happened last week's scores were great for Leo Thompson and Matt Croker, and I wouldn't be basing how they're going to score in the following rounds based off that, but what has changed is the Clemmer situation and the Fitzgibbon situation. So two forwards, one edge, one middle that are going to be out for the next sort of month there. And that just gives these guys like Croker, Thompson, that little bit extra run rate to make money, to score points. Obviously, the first game, he didn't get many minutes, around that 20 mark, and then mid-30s in the second one. So I toyed with the idea of bringing back Leo Thompson after trading him out last week and ended up deciding against it. If I'd bring in him, I was going to bring in Starling as well. And it was going to be for Bully and also Tuolangi as well. So went back and forth with it. I was like, okay, if it's Starling, right? If I'm missing out, what am I missing out on if I don't bring him in? I'm probably missing out on a decent score this week. I'm going to bank him in for about a 50, but there's obviously a small risk that he gets sort of 60 minutes and around that 40 mark as well, which he got the last couple of weeks. So something to think about. He didn't score very well the first game either. Like he got 75 minutes, for example, and didn't score amazingly. So there's a chance that he has that. And if I have, if I can loop one of these boys, then that's decent as well. The issue here is Tui plays in the second game of the round, so it makes it hard to do the loop this week. But anyway, the theory was that if I can try and sneak a decent score out of one of these guys in my 4 or 5 number, then it will be very helpful to my ability to score decently this week whilst maintaining 2 trades. So that was kind of the theory. And with Starling, if he, his break even's 30, so if he picks up a 50, he's not going to gain too much cash. And there's every chance I'm going to have some injuries or suspensions next week. Or I can, if Bully or Tui, they don't get their spot or they get traded or something, I can downgrade them next week and maybe a better cash cow comes up. So that was kind of some of the thoughts as well. And I could get Starling next week anyway without him, just kind of seeing how he goes in this role now that's officially his, and we can make that decision there. So that was kind of the general thoughts around the Starling and the Leo Thompson in for Bully and Tuolangi. Let me know what your thoughts are there. And it kind of just made my decisions on the interchange and emergencies that little bit harder. Obviously, Starling comes in, which would push one of these guys out. And I'm really feeling a good score from Rocco this week. So he's been having that 30 as his base, and they come up against the Tigers this week. So I think I'm going to pop him in the interchange there as a player this week. And we're probably looking to get Schneider's score on the in the emergency 5, which again, it's not really going to matter, but just gives us that flexibility. If one of these guys is a late out, then I can move any of these guys in the emergencies up to number 5, for example, to cover. That's the thoughts there. Penasini obviously up against the Storm is a little bit of a tough one, but his base is in that mid-30s, and he's due for a try or a try assist somewhere in there as well. In terms of the rest of the guys in the squad, again, we want some bounce backs from Curdy Mann. Nanai, I'd like a better score from Aiken. Arrow, somewhere around the 50 would be cool, and a bigger score from Reedy. Thinking that he's going to tackle a fair bit more in this game against the Storm, and maybe do a little bit of kicking out of dummy half to get them in good position as well. So that's the theory of a bunch of these guys. Obviously, some bounce back would be great. As I said, ranked 4,754 is decent at this point. Don't know how many ranks we're going to make up this week. It's going to be based a little bit on how Penasini, Berry, and a couple of our starters go, with Curdy, for example, being a little bit more under-owned, and then Schneider as well. So that's the theory there. And I said, it's a long season, guys. Remember, if you're making 2 trades a week, you got 32 trades, so 16 weeks out of the 25. Obviously, we get 4 extra at the end, so let's say 18 weeks of 2 trades, and there's a bunch of weeks in the middle there. You're going to be making 4 trades with the buy schedule and stuff like that. So you've very quickly run out of trades. So I thought that saving the 2 this week is not going to cost me too much. It might cost me 20 points, for example, and maybe a little bit of an increase in cash from Leo Thompson, but I think there's going to be other better cash cows coming through. Remember how many COVID cases are going to be, suspensions and injuries. So just be aware of that. People come up, and maybe I could downgrade next week and upgrade one of those guys to get Starling anyway. So that's the theory with the squad. And we move to the final team in the head-to-head, and I was actually really excited with trades this week. What I have done is actually move big Gus Crichton on. So just felt, not making any trades last week, I felt like I could just go nuts with the 2 this week. And you don't feel too bad. You think of it as a one per week, and you're pretty solid. So Gus is gone. I flirted with the idea of bringing in Starling and Toby Sexton, which was pretty cool. But just decided that when I did that, I had removed a fair bit of my cover, for example. So so what I did here was move on Sean Russell. I moved on him for and Gus for what I have done in the end. Russell and Gus for Aitken. So I brought him in, and the reason for this was to get some cover. So when I did the Sexton trade, I felt I had no cover in the wing fullback, I had no cover in the centre, and I had no cover in the edge. Yes, we've got Tui there, but if I was going to do the Sexton trade, I would have had to trade Tui out. So he's every chance of coming back this week, and what this allowed me to do was to pop Schneider in the halves once I got Aiken in, and then I can move Burton to the bench, or I can move whoever I want there. I now have cover in the centre, and I also have cover in the edge as well, so I can move. Who else have I got? So if I really had an issue, I could go Aiken up to edge or Tungo up to edge, and I could move Burton down to the centres, for example. I could move Burton into the halves and play that way. I've got some mids cover, I've got hooker cover, and it's just the wing fullbacks now that will be the issue. But yeah, we're going for max points at the moment to try and stay up in the high ranks for as long as possible. But anyway, that was the theory. The other thoughts I had, so obviously Sexton was an interesting one, but I would have had to get rid of Tui. Then it was Aiken, obviously the second option being that, leaving me with 25k remaining. And the third option was Beau Fermor, but I wouldn't have had the center cover then. I would have only had the edge cover. So if I brought him in, that's where I would have ended up. And that's why I didn't decided to go against Bowie. Obviously, he could be a little bit more up and down, and he's a little bit obviously less expensive than Aiken, only by 80k though. And you get the dual position with Aiken, probably a little bit more consistent in a position that's his. Bo it's his too, but he hasn't really shown that he can do it for a long period of time. Yes, Aiken's only done it on the second row for a little bit, but he's been super consistent with this being his lowest score over that time. So that was the theory there. I think that he'll do solidly. He is a keeper in the centres as well. So that's that. And then in terms of the loop, we can't really do it again, but I've popped Kobe in the 5 jersey. At this stage, I feel like that's going to do us okay. They got Leo in there. I doubt he's going to get the 45. Starling, Burton, Randall on the bench is really cool. Kobe is going to be a nice one in that mid-30s. Hopefully a few extra minutes for him. Starters are all looking really solid. Just Bully's the only one I wouldn't have here. But, Bird, Hunt, Schneider, Aiken, Tungo, Hines, Crichton, and Pap. So team's looking good. Just used the 2 trades this week. Ranked 171. Should be able to do pretty well again this week. And, yeah, I'm excited. Let's get into round 3, guys. I hope you're all ready to go. And we'll pop out that Draft Stars video in a couple of hours as well. But yeah, let's just basically good luck with this round. And we'll if you haven't subscribed, jump in there and do so. We'll get plenty of insight. I hope this video really helped you, and we'll catch you in another video, guys. See you later.